Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse. Today we're going to continue on with what we were doing last week, and that's adding routes and components to our React site, and we're going to be creating some more GraphQL queries. So a lot of the same stuff. We'll have a lot of new content. So I've been working on migrating some content over. So I think I have maybe like 4 new custom post types and a couple of new taxonomies. So I'll try to do front end work on the stream and then do the data migration stuff on my own. And that way we'll always have new content to try to set up on the front end side of things. I hope everyone had a good weekend, and hey, I see you on the live chat. I was recently doing some reading about OBS, which is what I use to stream, and I've changed the settings, and I managed to get the CPU usage down, I think like by 1/3. So let me know if the video quality seems okay. I don't want to drop everything down too much. I should still get 1080p, and we shouldn't have any issues with stuttering or dropping frames or anything. So hopefully it all works out right. But so far, it looks like this will be the right settings. Alright, so let me switch over to show my screen. Okay, let's move this down a bit and increase the size here. Alright, so just a refresher, and also if you're new to the stream, I break the stream up into 25-minute segments, and I'll try to do some coding for 25 minutes, and then I will take a 5-minute break, go to the live chat, answer as many questions as I can in that 5-minute break, and then we'll do some more code. And then at the very end, I answer all the questions in the live chat. So the streams usually aren't longer than 2 hours. Sometimes they're only about an hour. But if you do ask a question, please be patient, and I will get to it eventually. If you can't stick around, you can always check out the recording. All the recordings of these streams are available on the freeCodeCamp YouTube channel. Alright, cool. It looks like you all have noticed that the fans aren't running. Yeah, it's really quiet in here now. It's amazing. It's like, I never really noticed how noisy it was until now. I can't hear the fans at all. That's pretty wild. Alright, so hopefully the audio is a little better for you all as well. And I didn't even realize it was that bad. Okay. So today, let me give you, I'm trying to figure out where we left off. So we left off with department pages, it looks like. So here's basically kind of what we've been doing, in case you haven't seen the streams or you missed some. We create new pages, right? So we're using React, and in particular we're using Next.js. And Next has its own routing system, but we're kind of adding our own routing on top of that. So within this pages folder, we'll create a new page, and then we'll also create a new query for GraphQL, and we'll create a new route in our server.js file. And once we complete that process, then there'll be a whole new section of the site that'll be available to pull in content. So we've already completed that for several sections. So we have a section for faculty members, a section for academic majors. We also have a section now for academic departments. So we're going to continue on today, and some of the things that I brought in since then are we have associate's degrees, which I don't think I'm finished bringing in all the data, so we might skip that, as well as minors, and we have institutes and organizations. I think it's institutes and organizations. I just shortened it to institutes for API purposes. And then we have some staff members. I also brought in a bunch of videos as a custom post type, but I can't really do anything with those yet. I'm going to need someone to go in manually and sort through those and then assign them to a category so that we can pull them in to places where we need them. So basically that's just like a YouTube embed tag inside a WordPress custom post type. Alright, so let's pull in, let's see, let's go with minors for now. Okay, let's go that minor, Greek minors, studies. Yeah. Let's go with minors. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to go to the current website and I want to check what the URL is, because we need to match that with our route. Wherever possible, we want to keep URLs from the old URL to the new one, which I probably should mention for those of you who are new. We're taking an old website for the university, the main university website here at Franciscan University, and we're making a completely new website, but we need to migrate the content and we want to keep the URLs the same wherever possible. Alright, obviously, because I'm sure there's a lot of inbound links and things that will break if we mess up the URL structure. Obviously will not be good for SEO as well, because I'm sure we'll still show up in a lot of search results for URLs that are now broken, and then as soon as the search engine realizes that, we will drop out of the search results. So it's very important that we double check these. Oops, wrong site. There we are. See how long it takes today to load. So from the load times alone, it should be obvious why we need to build a new website. Wow, and this website is actually hosted on campus. So it's just maybe, I don't know, maybe like less than a mile, maybe a kilometer, I don't know, probably less than where I am right now. It's insane that it takes that long to get here. Okay, so we need to find our minors, undergraduate. Another thing that I'd like to do, if possible, is kind of figure out where people are going the most and where people want to go based on analytics, and then make those sections very easy to get to. So we should have a section for minors. There we are. So let's check out our minor programs and see. Hopefully we have some consistency with the URLs. If not, we may have to, take another. Ooh. Studies. Greek. It looks like, wow. Alright, this is going to be tough. So it's probably hard for you all to see what the URLs just were because they're so small. Alright, I see you're asking for ngrok. I already started the server, I just forgot to paste it. So here's the link for the ngrok server. You can click that and check out the site as we make it. Worlds asks, what is is this what people call migrations? Migration. I mean, we're migrating data. We're moving the. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're migrating. We have to migrate the data from one database to another so that we can use a different content management system. Oh, goodness. Okay, so let me explain to you what is messed up about these URLs right now. So here's all our minors. Like legal studies, for instance, is just franciscan.edu/legal studies. But then classical Latin is franciscan.edu/classics/classical Latin. So there's not really consistency. This one is kind of the odd one out because it's formatted like this. All the other ones are formatted based on the department or the major program. It's just probably the department. Oh no, but so Franciscan Studies is just franciscan.edu/Franciscan Studies. Alright, this is going to be more difficult, so I guess here's what we'll need to do. For the ones that are just straight up like .edu/something, we're going to have to create their own routes to keep the URL the same. But then we're going to need to I don't know, we're going to need to figure out an alternate route. So we want to keep the old URLs, but then within the site we want to keep things really logical and clean. So I'm going to need your help just thinking through this. Would it be more logical to make all the minors have, so let's say franciscan.edu/minor/ I don't know, classical Latin or whatever? Or would it make more sense to have it franciscan.edu/classics, which would be the department name, /classical Latin? Let me know if that question even makes sense at all to you, and then let me know what you think. I'm just yeah, I'm just kind of wondering. So I think we are making the majors. Let's look at our router for a second. Whoops. Where are we at? Our server.js file here. Right now what we have going on is, yeah, so we have like these kind of routes for our majors, but then we're also making a route, and this will be kind of our new structure that we're going to encourage, is major / and then the ID for the major. Okay, so it looks like a few of you are saying to do department / program is a better way to do things. Okay. Okay, let me go back here and let's see. Classics, Greek minor. Okay, the slug actually, with some of them, already says minor in it. I think that's not a bad idea to keep the name of minor in there. So I just want to double check and make sure that these are linking to pages that's just for the minor. Okay, good. So film studies minor. Okay. Steven says, I can't get the ngrok site open. Is anyone else having trouble with the ngrok site? Let's see. Jeff said it opened on his phone, but not on the workstation. It could be the firewall. All right, let me know what's going on with that. You try to copy and paste the link as well, because sometimes links with YouTube are weird, like in the live chat. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take one last check at all these suggestions before we actually create the route. Michael's saying we could do department and then program and then major or minor. Okay. Maybe we could. Yeah, maybe we could do that. Let's see. Excess biology department, commerce, theology, classics, political science. All right, yeah, so these are already categorized under department, I suppose. So for now, let's go with slash department slash, and then we'll put the name of the program, the name of the minor. Okay. Yeah, we'll do it like that. And that'll actually match up with the current way of doing things, so that's okay. For some of them, we'll have to account for the current URL and then also direct things into the new system. Okay. There's also maybe some changes, restructuring like departments and things. So I don't think any of those changes will happen before the site launches. But I guess it would be almost a little bit of a waste to, I suppose, overthink this, because it's likely that it may change at some point this year. I don't know anything for sure, but I've just heard that's a possibility. So we may have a different organization. I really wish that I could know for sure how that's going to play out before we made these, because it could mess up the organization of all the academic stuff on the site. But oh well, we'll do what we need to do for now. Okay, so let's go to our code. And let's try to set up some routes here. So I'm going to grab this for now. And let's see, department list. Oh, okay, I see now what I was trying to do, and I just never finished that. Okay. So what we'll need is actually, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. All right, let me think through this with y'all. So basically, we need a double parameterized route. So we would need something like, I don't know, ID1. You know, so it would basically be like the department and then, you know, the ID for the minor. But here's the problem with that. We have, you know, this isn't the only place where we have this type of thing happening. All right, let me know if anybody first, like, if you see the issue too, or if I'm just like missing something big here. Let me think about this for a second. All right. I think we need to go back and just do it like this. And now it makes more sense why I did this with the major, because I think that's really our only option. So yeah, there's just not, I just don't know of a way to do kind of like a double variable here and to have that work out. Essentially because we're dealing with a lot of different custom post types. So like right now, a lot of our pages we're directing these to are very, very similar, but they're not always going to be similar. They're going to have different things. So it's like, what would I direct this to? Would I have to keep, I don't know, lists of all the different names of the departments? So it's if one of these names is the department, and then if one of these names is a minor, then we send it to the minor route. So I don't know. I think this will be it. Whether or not this is the ideal URL, I think this is really our only logical option at this point. And I don't think it's, for one thing, it will keep our URL shorter. Yeah, we're gonna have to really try to make sure that all our URLs can fit in this type of thing where we just have like the descriptor, like category, and then we have, you know, with the variable, the parameterized route would be. I think we can do that. Let's see. Michael says the issue is that whoever initially set up the site didn't make a standard and have everyone stick to it. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like what happened. Part of the issue too, I think, is I don't know the full history, and I didn't work with this site that much, but there was some functionality that the site was supposed to have that it didn't have, and then various things just quit working during the time the site was there. So some things were done that wasn't really part of the plan, but it had to be done just to get pages up. And I think that's part of the reason why there's so much weirdness. Also, I know there's been a lot of different people working on it, student workers and things like that. So it hasn't been one person working on it, and I guess there hasn't really been enforcement of a strict standard for things. It's possible that reorganization has happened as well. Like maybe some things are categorized, used to be categorized differently. I don't know. Nick says, do you need something like a nested resource like /department /department ID /minor ID? Yeah. Yeah, actually, would that work? Alright, let me paste this in and see what you all think. I think it's going to end up making really long URLs, but you all let me know if you think it would be better. So what if we had, instead of minor ID, we would have department and then whatever the department name is, and then minor and whatever the minor name is. That might work. I'm not sure. We could try it, but I'm not even going to try it if you think that's going to end up getting ridiculous. Alright, a few of you kind of came in and said hello. Hey everybody that just came in. Alright, I'm going to give everybody just a few seconds to think about that and let me know. Let me just put it in here for now and comment it out, because even if we don't use it right now, I like that that's a possibility if we end up finding a case where we have to do something like that. What the heck is this? Trailing space is not allowed. There we are. Okay. Alright, in any case, what we can do right now is we can make a component and we can make our GraphQL query. Michael Creel says, can't you override the actual URL in the route? I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to. The thing is, so let's see what I need. I need. Wait, how would I do this? Wait, Michael. Oh man, you just reminded me. So the issue is I need to be able to grab the URL as it currently is and direct it to the right place. And if I can't do that, then we're gonna have to break the URLs, and we can't do anything about it. So essentially, I need to be able to do this, where it's like, so I need to be able to do this, and then I also need to be able to just grab. Man, I mean, I could always. There's not that many minors, so potentially I could just hard code what's in there. I'd hate to do that, but I'm going to end up with so many things hard coded. I don't really see any way around it. Especially when we don't have consistency with URLs. Commerce Film Studies. So this, like, I'm gonna have to have like stuff like this. Jeff says, try utilizing the web server to do the rewrite for the incoming request. I mean, I could. Well, I think we're still going to have the same thing, though, is I'm going to have a ton of rewrites. So, I mean, whether it's here or whether it's in the web server, which will be, well, we're going to use Nginx as a reverse proxy. So, either way, we're just going to have a list. All right. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. So I will have this minor and then our ID, and then that is going to send it to the component that's minor. But then we'll also have this sort of thing. It's going to send that to the component that's minor, but then we're going to manually give it the ID of film studies, well, as a string. Jeff says, I would put the rewrite rules at the web server side, keeps this code cleaner. Harshit says, maybe do those using a loop to save some time. We could, how about, alright, so here's what I think about that. One, yes, I'm definitely open to cleaning this up somehow, loops or whatever, to clean things up. Or potentially, like, what we probably should do at the very least is just get this stuff out of here and put it in a separate file. I'm also open to redoing this for like Nginx. For now, though, I'm going to do them here just so that I can see what I'm working with. And then that way, they'll at least be in a place so that later on I won't forget what I was trying to do. So as long as we have one example, or at least one example for each type of URL that's currently being used on the site, that should be enough. We don't have to type them all out right now. We just need to have one example, make sure it works, and then we can move on to the next type. Hey everybody, I have a few people saying hi, coming in. Din, Antonio, Dowlett, and Inna. Hey, how's it going? Alright, so, alright, let's move forward. So I think the suggestions are good, and I think we should do them. For right now, though, I'm going to do it like this, and then once we get a better idea of the scale of everything, then that should give us a better idea of like what would be the best way to clean this whole thing up and to do it differently. So for now, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try to comment things and make it obvious what these things are, so that when we come back, we can easily see like all the groups here. Alright, so we have that route in there. We need a component. New file. Minor. It's really possible that some of these, like major and minor, really don't need their own post types. Okay. So this is actually, I mean, this component is done for now. Assuming that we're getting similar content that we do for majors, that's done. So if you want to check more of this out about what's going on, check out the repo. The link's available in in the description of this video. And now we'll go to the queries. We're going to make a new file. I'm going to say miner.js as a query, and we can grab the major query, and we're going to do the same thing here. Whoops, did not copy that. Copy, paste. There we are. And so now let's change this miner, and then miners, wait, name, ID content slug. Okay, wonderful. All right, so now we have our query. What did I do? I don't know what I did there, that I messed it up. Don't save that. Put it there, save that. Major one needs to be deleted. Okay. Let's make sure I didn't mess that one up. All right, that looks good. Okay, so let me try this. So we should be able to go to miner, and then actually I need to see what the slugs are for these. Let's see, Greek miner, what's our slug? Okay. Oops. I don't think I restarted the server, and I also don't remember exactly. Okay, we did say miner. Okay. Let's restart this. There we are. Okay, cool. So we have Greek minor, classics department, little text here, some of the courses. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So our data is being brought in properly from our content management system, which is WordPress. We wrote a GraphQL query that's bringing in the data that we need, and then we're displaying it with our React component here on this site. Okay, looks good. I mean, it looks adequate, right? It's super plain right now, but in terms of being able to pull the data, that's good. Okay. Okay, let me check two things. One, I never took my timer, so I never started my timer. So let me just check the time. Oh yeah, I'm definitely due to go back to the live chat here. All right, so let me go to the live chat right now then. The second thing I was going to say is let me check the live chat. So I'm going to go to the live chat. Let me take, I am going to start my timer now. I'm going to put it on 5 minutes and go through as much as I can on the live chat. Hey, Rohan's here. Rohan says, finally joined after so long. Yeah, I haven't seen you around for a while. How's everything going? Worlds asked, is the ngrok website the new website you're rerouting to? The ngrok just... yeah, that's just a way for you to open the site on your machine and see what we're doing as we're doing it. I mean, you could go navigate wherever you want on the site, inspect it in DevTools, and when I change something, then it automatically would change for you as well. I'm scrolling through looking for a question. There's a lot of comments about our routing options. Alright, so Michael's saying the loops don't scale well. Make an array and then do index of the array. Okay, that Harsh says with loops only 7 to 8 lines can do the thing. Niki's here. Hey, how's it going? It says, hey everyone, just got back from physio in English, I think. I'm not sure. Are you trying to say like your normal like doctor's appointment stuff? I think. Anyway, welcome back. This person's handle on YouTube is display block. I like that. It says, hello, what time do you study to reach this level of coding? I have been. I've been doing this for like 5 years. Sorry. I don't know why I just got so drowsy all of a sudden. Yeah, so it's so hard to estimate, really. It just depends on your situation. Like how many hours a day can you study? How good are you at retaining new information? What your background is before that. There's just so much. So it's going to be different for everyone. I would say, though, if you're just getting into coding, like don't expect to be able to do everything in a few weeks, right? Don't get discouraged. That's an unrealistic expectation. So, don't think it's going to take you years and years to get, good enough to build anything meaningful. But at the same time, be realistic. So I guess there's like two different places you don't really want to be at. You don't want to be, thinking that you're going to learn everything really fast and then get disappointed when it doesn't happen. And then you also don't want to be thinking that there's no way you'll ever be able to do it, right? So be realistic with that. I see both things with like, people that ask me questions. It's, some people expect, like, I'm going to be able to do everything right away. And then some people are like, I've only been coding for, so many months. There's no way anybody will ever hire me. Right? I don't think either one is really true. So just kind of, be realistic about that. But in terms of your specific question, it's really nearly impossible to give a timeline for how long it would take to get to a certain point. All right, Harshit's giving some examples of things that I could do to clean up that code for all the routes. So thank you for that. No Life says, hi, how are you? Not bad. Not bad. How you doing? Alright, I only have just a few more things in the live chat, so even though my timer went off, I'm going to answer a few, just so I can get everything in here before we start up with coding again. The Lathe says, do you have ESLint set up? And in that case, which rule setup do you use? We follow standard JS. I think we're using, that's what we usually use for the project. So the standard JS rules. Andrew says, how do you get started on big projects like this? I'm looking to get into React. How do I get started? You start like you start every project, and you break it down into small chunks, and then just keep going every day and getting things done. That's about it. Steven says, Jesse, how often do you use loops, like for, if, for each, in your job? I use loops a lot. Sometimes I don't use like a for loop as much, and I'll try to use like a dot map or something like that, or filter or sort if I can. I like using those better. Steven says, I'm spending a lot on JavaScript loops, and I worry that I won't use it to the level that I'm working with it. Yeah, being able to do loops and having that concept down, I mean, it's important. You will probably use loops or something like a loop frequently. Steven's asking about .map. Yeah, I really do think .map is easier to write. I don't know, like I don't know if .map is easier to reason about. I mean, when you can see like a for loop, like you can see how it's going to increment and things. So I don't know. It might be easier to see how it's how it's going to work. But once you get familiar with map and like filter and things like that, I do think it's easier. All right, Nikki says, those array helpers are all things you can do with a basic for loop. They are just written shorter. Your understanding of the basic for loop will surely help. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I think that's a good answer. All right, last question, then we'll go back to the code. Anna says, how often do you visit the gym? I actually have some workout equipment in my basement at home, so I just do that. I haven't been to like an actual gym and I don't know, maybe it's been over a year. I think it's definitely been over a year. So I have an exercise bike. I have like a bench, bench press, some weights, some like free weights and things. So I could do like a full body workout. So not quite as nice as having like all the different options that you have at a gym, but it's definitely convenient to be able to just roll out of bed and go right into a workout. So for now, I really like that. I mean, I can actually get into. There's a gym on campus here where I work, so it's pretty nice. They have all your standard stuff you'd see in any gym, and it's like I used to go and play racquetball before work with a coworker of mine, but then I hurt my wrist, so now I'm like, I don't really think that's a good idea for me to do. But anyway, so I don't really go to the gym, but I've been working out every morning for the last 2 weeks. So today officially is 2 weeks. So I'm really proud of that. Before that, I hadn't worked out for a really long time. It was just really sporadic. Like I'd work out maybe a few times a month here and there. But anyway, let me go back to the code. And all right, so we basically proven the concept here works, and it works with our new route. Let's make sure that we can also make it work with so like the old route will still work. All right, I see Ines says that is nice. Keep training. Thanks, I appreciate that. I'm scared though that if I miss my workout once, like it's just gonna throw me off. So I'm really like I've been trying to go to bed super early so I know I can wake up and work out. I mean, I know it's gonna happen eventually. I can't keep this up forever, but for for right now, I at least want to build that habit. I want to keep it up for like at least a month, and then hopefully it's enough of a habit that I won't, be easily, thrown off. All right, I'm going to copy this route and paste it in just to test and make sure that this works. And let's see, film studies. I'll have to double check to make sure that that's the right slug. So if this doesn't work, I'll check that. Alright, yeah, it's not the right slug. Let me go back here. I have WordPress open on my other screen so I can check the routes. Film studies. There's this slug. Film studies minor. Alright. So this one is film studies minor. And I'll probably need to restart this, huh? There we are. Okay, yeah, so that works. So we can use ComArt's film studies, and that should work for us. And then we should also be able to do minor slash film studies minor. All right, great. Now what we can do at some point is clean up those slugs in WordPress so that it doesn't say minor on the end if we don't want it. So we don't actually have to, have minor here and then minor at the end, because that's a little redundant. I don't think we need that. So that's something though that I could have someone else do, even if they don't know about coding. I could just give them some instructions and say go through all of them and do it like this. So I'm not going to do it right now. Let's see. All right, so let's go into let's check out another post type. Okay, you know what? I do. I want to do this. So let me see programs. How's this gonna work? All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to grab this because this is going to be almost exactly what I want to do for these programs. Okay, so we have our associate degree programs, and right now let's check this out and go to majors, associate degree programs. So our URL then is, let's see what our URL is going to be. Waiting. Waiting. Okay. Oh, goodness. Academics UG Associate. Are there really no links for these programs? Oh, they just have them within here. But this is a... Okay. Alright, so these links are also not standard. Alright, and there's not a separate page for this associate's degree. It just links you to the main accounting page. So there may not even be separate pages for associate's programs. Yeah, there's no separate pages. Okay. There we are. Here's a separate page for the associates program. Alright. So we may we may only have one actual page for associates programs. Whew, okay. Wow, these routes are going to be the hardest part of this whole thing, I think. Okay, so we'll do, for the associate degree programs for now, I'm just gonna leave this as associate, and we're gonna have this as associate, but we may not even need this if there's really only one page. I don't know if it's worth it, although we may think about, like, okay, well, shouldn't we have a separate page for each associate program? So I'll have to talk. I don't handle content, and I don't really want to handle the content. So I'll have to talk to my boss about that and see what he thinks. But that might be something that gets added in. So I'm going to leave it in here for now. And then up here, let's go. We're going to say associate here, and then I want to take this to the associate page as well, and then I want to give it the ID of let's see, home or main. Let's give the ID of main. So I was been thinking about how to do this, and one way. So we have a situation where we'll have, let's say here, like departments. So the /department, I want to just have a list of all the different department pages. So then when you go /department/ID, you can get to those pages. So my original thought was, okay, I'll have it say when it's /department, I'll send it to an entirely different component, right? Meaning department list, which will work. But let's say the components are close enough that we don't really need two components. So I thought, why not try it like this and just manually pass in the ID main, and then make sure to say, okay, if the ID is main, then do this, and then we'll make the slug in WordPress match. So we'll make the slug say main, being the main page. So I'm going to try both different ways just to see maybe if there's some issue that I'm not seeing. But this way will cut down on the number of components that we need to make. And like I said, as long as the components are going to be very similar, then this works. If we need minor changes between, you know, how one of these pages display versus the main page, we can work that out within a component. If it's major changes, then it might make more sense to have two different components. But right now, let's test this out. So let's save that. I'm going to go into WordPress here, and I guess I can do this over here so that everyone can see. So I've just gone into this associate academic programs text, which is right now the only piece of data that we have in here. And I click so that to make the slug visible, and I'm going to make the slug main, which should be fine and won't mess up anything in WordPress because it's under the associate programs. and then main. So we don't have a program called main, so this should work and not conflict. So now that that's main, we should be able to get this, and we're going to need to make a new query. I wonder, there's probably a way that we can clean this up and not have so many different queries as well, but I'm going to wait, and that can be a, kind of an optimization that we do later on if we need to. So for right now, let's make a new query, new file, and let's call this associate.js. Wonderful. Let's go to minor query, and associate.js, and now let's just change things to associate. Okay, let's save that, and let's also make a page. So this is just a component, and we'll take what we did here with minor, and let's put it here. So we'll need to change every instance of the word minor and make it associate. And let's make sure we're getting our capitalization correct. Alright, so what will happen is we go to the URL, the ID part of the URL will get passed into here, and then that will be available to pass on to the query. We'll get the data back, the data will be stored in props, and then the data will be used to render this component. If you want a more thorough explanation of how that works, you can ask me in the live chat, or you can go back and rewatch some of the streams that we did earlier on towards the beginning of Project 5. And I do go, in a lot more depth into, how this works. All right, so we need to restart our server because we changed some routes in our server.js file. And after that starts up, we will be able to go to associate. Oops. Let's make sure I did that right. All right, so we do have associate. We have this associate query. And we have this. Let's see if I did this right on the server. Associate. You know what, let me see what I made this in WordPress. So I think it was more than just associate. So here's our custom post type in WordPress, and I believe I made it associate program. There we are, associate program. So in our query, we need to look for associates program. I think like this. I think that's it. I guess we can double check. News post, department directories. All right, well, let's give it a shot. Nope. Programs. Alright, let's check. I don't think I can use a hyphen here. No, I can't. let's see. Did I never restart my timer? No, I didn't. I'm just going to have to keep an eye on the clock. So I'm going to work on this for just another few minutes, and then I'll go back to the live chat. So it's saying cannot read property edges of undefined. So if we see in our component here, see edges here, it's saying there is no data for associate. Maybe that's because it's supposed to be associate associate program. There we are. Alright, that was the whole point. So here's my problem. So I had, well, two problems. One, I was trying to get data under the name associate, and that's not the name that I had saved the data under. And I was trying to do that in two different places. So I just had to change it in both places, and now I could get the data. Here's how it's coming in for us. So I'm not thrilled with how that looks, especially like the main headline here is smaller than all the sub headlines. But I mean, it's in. At least we're getting the data and it works. And it has, oh no, it has weird stuff like this. So the this is taking us to main.aspx, admissions main.aspx. So I was hoping that most of the links would work, but links that have .aspx at the end are obviously not going to work. I didn't realize that was a thing happening on this site. So we'll definitely have to address that. That just might be, that'll be a thing that either I can find like one thing to go through all the database and remove that, or maybe I can write something that'll remove it as we import things, or that'll just be something that as we're testing the site and as we keep going through, every time we find it, I'll just have to change it or have someone else change it in WordPress. Okay. So the idea, though, is that you would have each of these and then a page for each of these, and when you click the link, it would take you to associate / and then, let's say, theology. And then that would show you the associates in theology page, but your just a / associate page would have your list of everything. And we're going to do a similar thing for the majors, for the minors, for departments. You know, anything that would make sense to have a list of everything first, which is going to be most of the sections. We're going to do it like that. Okay, looks good. I'm going to go back to the live chat now. And even though I forgot the timer, I think we're basically staying on about the same time frame that we normally do. So I'm going back to the live chat. Right now, I'm going to try to answer all the questions that are in there. So if you have a question, please put it in there now. And if you don't want to stick around for the question and answer, that's totally fine. I'll see you tomorrow. If you can stick around, though, I would appreciate your help in answering the questions. Most of the time, you all have great answers, much better than what I can come up with. Okay. Michael asks, can you set up a database with department, program, degree type? Were we, at that point, were we still talking about routing just to be able to, I guess, grab those? Or, I mean, I guess it's possible. Michael says, you or one of the students is going to have to hard code some stuff. You're going to have to deal with it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, eventually, who knows? Maybe after a couple of years, all the links will be, or at least most of the links will be switched over to a more sane system. But I don't know. For right now, we just got to cover it and try to get as many links as possible to work. Michael says, you really should only need 3 queries: department, program, degree type. Then branch out from there. Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm thinking about that. There may be a much better way to handle this data. It's not going to be ideal. I mean, unfortunately, in migrating the data, right now the data is not organized in a way that makes it easy to find stuff. So that makes it kind of difficult when I'm trying to bring it over. But then also, I'm bringing it over into WordPress. I want it to be set up in a way that it's like makes some sense. So I'm making everything as custom post types so that whoever's editing it can quickly see, like, oh, okay, it's the major custom post type. That's where I put stuff for majors. So I'm not sure how I could set it up differently to follow that hierarchy. The other way potentially could be set up a different server, a GraphQL server that, I don't know, organize things differently. I'll have to think about that. I mean, right now I do have a category. I guess the problem with the way that things work with WordPress is like I don't think I can grab multiple custom post types like with one query. I'm gonna have to look into that. I was reading some issues on it on GitHub. Anyway, I agree that this is not ideal. This is just kind of, we're making it better than it is now, but it's not probably like the most ideal way to organize everything. Michael says, I might not know much about React, WordPress, or BJS Ninja, but I do know about databases. I just think that way. All right, well, that's cool. I don't know a lot about databases, so any advice you have for me in that area is definitely welcome. Michael says, not sure why you are so worried about major/minor. I mean, I'm not, it's not major, minor in particular. It's just kind of in general, like, the way things are happening with the URLs on major and minor are also happening. I mean, that's just kind of the way things are across the site. So it's not that major and minor is so important. It's just that the way we're going to have to deal with this everywhere is definitely important. And I want to be consistent. So that's kind of why I'm putting so much thought into it now. Because whatever I decide, we need to use that going forward. If I change my mind later, then I'll have to go back and redo it. Which isn't a big deal, except that, you know, we need to get this launched in like a month. And February is a short month, so we're missing out on a few days. Okay. I've gotten to the bottom of the live chat, so I think I'm gonna wrap. Savage Banana says, you cutie, Jesse. Thank you. I try. I've been combing my beard lately, so I'm glad you noticed. my beauty. So, all right. So I'm going to get back to bringing more data over, and the more data I bring over, the better picture I have of what we're dealing with. So questions like how we're going to deal with like moving, how to deal with URLs and organize things. So I'll have a better idea of what we're dealing with. Savage Vanilla says, is laughing, say, yeah, definitely the beard. Alright, I really enjoy doing these live streams with you all. Yeah, so I should be back tomorrow, probably around the same time. I don't think I have anything conflicting on the schedule, and we'll be doing some of the same work tomorrow. So it's going to be a lot of the same for a little while, and then depending on how much data we get moved over, how much we get done, then maybe we can move on making it look nice, optimizing things, refactoring, and testing. Lots of testing, as much as we can. All right, well, I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.